Well, who saw that coming? I definitely didn't see this coming. I did not think this is something that Epic Games was ever going to do. Fortnite Chapter 1 is returning permanently. Every single season in Chapter 1, Season 1 to Season 10. They're coming back to Fortnite next month, permanently, according to leaks. We're going to take a look at this because there is a ton to talk about, guys. We have a banger video for you today. I'm going to take a look at the initial leak. I'm going to give my thoughts. I'm going to go through a bunch of different replies over from the X Explore page and people just replying to the leaks. We're going to cover everything in this video. And as always, guys, I would love to know what you think about it down below afterwards. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Guys, like and subscribe. Let me bring you over to this initial post over by Shinna. Fortnite Chapter 1 returns next month. All Chapter 1 seasons will return. The seasons will return monthly, expected at the Game Awards. Builds and zero build, completely OG loot pool. This information comes from an anonymous source, and both Hypex and I can confirm this, and Hypex did say this along with Shinna. I have so much to unpack about this, guys, and again, we have a big video. We're going to take a look at so many other people's takes on what they had to say about this. So, if you guys have been following the channel, you would know that I was always somebody throughout the years that think bringing back OG permanently would be a bad idea. They brought back Fortnite OG for a month. They're bringing back Fortnite Remix for a month. I think that timeline is perfect. We can enjoy the nostalgia and then continue on to new Fortnite. I've always believed that no matter what, it would eventually get stale. But if we are rolling through every single Chapter 1 season, of course, it would take a very long time. You would finish it in about a year, assuming that you switch it like one season every month. And I'm assuming that this is going to work, okay? If we roll through different seasons monthly, I think this is enough where the novelty it'll wear off just a little bit, but I think it's good enough to the fact where we can continue enjoying all of these new seasons, because each season in Chapter 1 was, aside from like the very, very beginning, was drastically different. Like, the difference between just playing in Chapter 1 Season 4 to Chapter 1 Season 7 to Chapter 1 Season 9 and to Chapter 1 Season X. One of the greatest Fortnite seasons of all time. I am so excited. Like, another thing that they would need to do, okay? If this is to succeed, I see a world where they do this, which is an issue in my opinion, okay? Let's say they start off with Chapter 1 Season 1. What they do is they don't copy and paste each map and rotate it through each month. Let's say they have like a Fortnite OG map where they mix in a bunch of fan favorites, or kind of like they've done with Chapter 2 Remix, right? They have one map. And let's say these seasons that they're rolling through, we're going through every single season, and they kind of treat it like they did with Fortnite OG, where they're just kind of switching up the loot pool. If they do that, then I think this is a bad idea, and this will wear off very, very quickly. But if it's like, if you are literally taking all these seasons and copying and paste them, like literally 1 month Chapter 1 Season 1, Chapter 1 Season 2, Chapter 1 Season 3, and so on, then I am so for this. I really, really like this idea, but if they were to do it any other way than that, then I do believe that this would get stale, and my theory would be proven correct. I think this is an incredible way to do it. To go back to what Shinna was saying, all Chapter 1 seasons will return. The problem is, it's a little bit vague. I'm worried that it's just going to be something like a loot pool, okay? The seasons will return monthly, as we talked about, expected at the Game Awards. That would be a huge announcement. We all know that Fortnite has something going on at the Game Awards, both builds and zero builds, completely OG loot pool. I also hope that what they do is they also copy and paste the loot pool. When I'm talking like, when we get to Season X, man, I want to see the rift zones. I want to see the mechs. I want to play these seasons as they were. If we do this, I think it's going to be incredible, but we don't stop there, okay? I'm very, very worried, and I've heard a couple people talking about it, that this is going to replace Chapter 6. I highly doubt Epic Games will do that. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility, but I highly doubt that. What I am worried about, though, is because Epic Games realized so much success with Fortnite OG, it is by far the greatest thing they've done, and so far with Chapter 2 Remix, that is kind of doing the same thing. It's kind of hitting that, not kind of the same as success, but they're doing fantastic numbers right now. I'm worried that Epic Games sees this and goes, okay, well, Prime Fortnite's working, let's do it forever. That worries me, okay? What if we get a Chapter 6 that is incredibly lackluster? But then again, on the other hand, like, I'd be down to play Chapter 1. Like, I hear on a lot of these comments because I like to talk about how people are blinded by nostalgia, which is honestly accurate. I love Fortnite Chapter 1. I have a very difficult time saying that chapters ahead of Fortnite Chapter 1 were better than Chapter 1. I think Chapter 2 is Prime Fortnite, but when you talk about Chapters 1, 3, and 4, Those are so difficult to rank, and I'm so excited. I'm still excited. Lots of tier list content coming, you guys. Man, this is going to be incredible. Assuming that it's done well, assuming that Epic Games doesn't lose focus on Battle Royale, and we don't focus on just this moving forward. And if you're still worried, honestly, about the novelty of Fortnite going away with all of this coming back, I understand that, and I do think that players will kind of lose that nostalgia they have for early Fortnite, lose those fantastic, amazing memories that everyone holds dear to their heart. I personally, I know, and I'm just a weird guy. I'm different than a lot of people. I will always cherish Chapter 1 in my heart. Like, no matter how many times I play Chapter 1 Season 3 over, I can play it until I'm completely burnt out. I will still hold those memories near and dear to my heart, but I know that's going to be an issue for a lot of the player base, where these amazing feelings they have towards a map, these nostalgic feelings that they have, will actually wear off. And I think that it's important to keep those memories in your life, because Fortnite's been such a special game to all of us. Another thing, speaking of the novelty of Chapter 1 and holding it into your heart, something that I'm also interested in is, when we go through these 10 seasons, are you going to start from Chapter 1 again and continue on to Chapter 10? Maybe they'll do another Fortnite remix thing, but if we're talking about this returning permanently, I could see them just cycling through Chapter 1 over and over and over and over again. What I personally would like is to do Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Season 1, 8, Chapter 3, Chapter 4. I'm good with Chapter 5. I don't need Chapter 5, but honestly, like, I would love it if they did this. If this was, they always had an alternative map to play on, rotating each month, I think this would be perfect for the game. If you don't like Chapter 6, if you don't like any huge change that Epic Games is making, you can go play a different season of Fortnite. One that probably has hit scan. One that was well received by a lot of the community, except maybe the later parts of Chapter 1. But then again, like, I also might be proven right, because people are going to come back and realize how busted and how boring this map was. But I don't know, maybe we'll have the player base change their tune because of how lackluster Chapter 5 was. We're not going to get into that conversation, guys. So my point, if we're continuing on and rolling through like Chapter 1, then Chapter 2, then Chapter 3, then Chapter 4, we're talking about 4 years here, right? Maybe even more. Yeah, no, we're talking more than 4 years. By the time they roll back to Chapter 1 Season 1, it will be just as nostalgic as they left it. I've always been saying too, and I've heard a lot of different opinions on this, a lot of great YouTubers have been making videos, and they make a fantastic argument that if Fortnite OG was brought back every year, then it would actually lose its novelty. I think playing it 1 month every year wouldn't necessarily lose its novelty. I don't think that you'd have the number of players coming back like you did when you initially dropped it, but I think it would be enough where I can sit back and I can enjoy it. Like, Chapter 1 was that good. While I talk about how much I love modern Fortnite, Chapter 1 had a lot of seasons that I consider to be peak Fortnite, and that's why I'm so excited to make all of these tier list videos, right? But like I said, guys, it is not just about my opinion, because there is so much we have to talk about. I'm going to take a look at the Explore page on X, replies from the leaks, and we're going to get into it in just a second, because there's one more thing that I did want to say. I think it is very, very important that we don't get overhyped for this, because leakers have never been more wrong in recent times than they have been with the entirety of Fortnite. I just think you need to keep that in the back of your mind. If you're somebody who is loving Chapter 1, you've been waiting for this for a very long time, don't get excited until it's actually in the game, or if Epic Games says something, or if they drop the announcement over at the Game Awards. Just take this with a grain of salt, because this is an incredible announcement, and because if it does not come, then automatically it's not going to, Chapter 6 is not going to live up to what you were expecting with Chapter 1 coming back, because Chapter 1 for many players is so much better than anything ever. No matter what Epic Games drops, they can make the most fantastic map and gameplay mechanics of Chapter 6, and you won't like it because you were expecting Chapter 1. I think that's very important to keep in mind when you're moving forward and talking about these. You can be excited, just understand that this is not 100% confirmed, because Fortnite did not say so themselves. But I think you've listened to me yap for too long now. Let's get into what everybody had to say over on X about this. Magic Bones had this to say: pretty sure this means all the battle passes can legitimately return, since they said the items can only be earned within their season, and now all of the seasons are returning. If this is the way that Epic Games actually brings back old battle passes, that will be smart yet scummy. Okay, we've had the conversation about battle passes returning, old battle passes returning, many times on this channel. I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about it. We have many videos if you'd like to go check it out, but that would be a very sneaky way to bring back old battle passes, and I could see Epic Games doing it, man. While I don't think it's right to bring back old battle passes because Epic Games advertise them to be exclusive, it wouldn't shock me if Epic Games just said, hey, we're bringing him back. Here we are. Here's your old battle pass, okay? Let's continue on to TRC4. Reload was sufficient enough to give me the OG feel, even though the OG feel has totally lost all of its meaning with the constant amount of Chapter 1 related stuff we've gotten it back. This is such an L and a cash grab. Okay. I'm not even going to get into the cash grab stuff because Epic Games is a business. You're playing a free game and they need to make a profit, okay? Now, this is actually interesting because I was just talking to Clark and JoJo about this, and we were talking about how Reload was kind of good enough for a lot of the player base to relive those Chapter 1 experiences, because I do feel like I'm playing part of Chapter 1 when I'm playing Fortnite Reload. It has the OG feel to me, but to be honest with you, for me personally, I don't imagine that everybody else is completely different. I am totally okay with having Reload because I love the mechanics of Reload. I love the high pace competitive battle, and I love the rules there. I love the respawns, and then everybody's alive. You have that crazy chaotic endgame. It's more about how Reload is and how the game functions than it is actually experiencing the old map. The map is and POIs are laid out very, very nicely, and that is a wonderful bonus, but I still would get really excited to see some fan favorite POIs on an actual Battle Royale map. That's just me personally, and I would love to know what you guys think about it down below afterwards. Let's continue on. Sizzo had this to say: I just thought of something. We recently had a lot of old Battle Pass images coming back as of recently, and since Epic said seem to be doing one season at a time per month, wouldn't that technically mean these old Battle Passes could return during their respective seasons, since they said they would only be available during those seasons? If this were to happen, I can only assume they would make it so if you buy a Battle Pass, you can keep progressing through until they are complete, because some people might not be able to reach tier 100 during those month-long seasons. Especially now that Epic have confirmed they are changing the way the Battle Passes work next chapter, I feel that if there was ever a time for them to make a change like this, it would have been during the start of Chapter 6. A little bit expanding upon what we were just talking about with the Battle Passes, but again, I could just see them doing this, man. That wouldn't shock me. I got a funny feeling because there was, like, if I'm remembering correctly, there actually was old Battle Pass images updated in the files. Could be wrong about that, but maybe I'm just remembering it because we're talking about it. Zashi had this to say: they need to make it properly accurate though. This I agree with. I will not like this, and to be honest with you, I'll have fun playing with it, but when I say I won't like this, I won't like it compared to its possibilities. They need to make it accurate. If you're bringing back the entire experience of Chapter 1, you need to make it exactly from Chapter 1, Season 1 to Chapter 1, Season X. I don't want just combination islands and building upon each other, having a couple updates to the loot pool. I agree with this personally. Let's continue on to Fossil Soothie. I'm gonna sound like that friend who doesn't like anything, but I don't like this. The beauty of something is that it's temporary, so not only will Athena lose its charm, but also split the player base more than it already has. I really hope this is temporary and not permanent. Okay, this is very important to note. Epic Games will need to get a handle on the bots. The bots are already ridiculous. I could see them just going, okay, well, we have a new mode. Let's drop 40% bots. You know, just I'm ballparking a number right there, but that can't happen. That will ruin the flow of the gameplay. But then again, you'll have a lot of people coming back who, one, might not even know about bots, and two, might not care because somebody's better than me. You know, like those types of people. A lot of people are going to be coming back to the game. As to split the player base, if we hear that Chapter 1's coming back permanently, you will have a huge number of players. I don't know if it'll reach the peak about the first time that they brought Chapter 1 back, but you will have a lot of returning players, ones that will probably stick around for the most part, I would imagine. And to be honest with you, if they are doing this, I personally would like it to be a permanent thing because people would definitely be getting used to that. Let's continue on to Luke Foxtoy. Again, brother, seriously this desperate and out of ideas? I'm not saying bring back previous chapters is a bad thing, but the fact that they're doing it over and over again, especially the same previous seasons as the last time, it feels like it gets less potent each time. I understand how you feel, but again, this has been such a success. I don't blame Epic for doing this, and a lot of the player base right now, and I haven't seen really a lot of negativity. I know what I was doing when I was looking for these tweets is I was looking for a diverse group of opinions, things that we could talk about, but I am seeing an overwhelmingly majority of positive things said about this. Let's continue on to David the Rifted Rune. That sounds crazy, but hopefully this is not compensation of a rather weak Chapter 6. Again, incredibly important. I don't want to play Chapter 1 as a substitute to what Fortnite Chapter 6 could be. I'll stop you there though, because if Chapter 6 is going to be like Chapter 5 and be extremely lackluster in just basic gameplay, I'll sit back and I'll enjoy my Chapter 1. I'm a-okay with that, but I just hope and pray that Chapter 6 is an absolute banger, kind of like how they were kind of getting in the groove with Chapter 5 Season 4. I'm hoping for the best, and I hope this isn't an excuse to have a weak Chapter 6, because if that's the case, I will give Epic all the praise in the world, assuming that Chapter 1 is great, but I will also be extremely critical about them not putting in many resources into Chapter 6. But again, that is really jumping the gun. Rylick had this to say: "Holy W, Fortnite staying around for decades to come." So true. So true. And people will sit back and still say, "Oh my god, the only reason that they're doing this is because Fortnite's on its last legs. Fortnite's actually dying. Epic Games is losing money. Epic Games is so incompetent." You will see these people still saying this no matter what Chapter 1 comes back, but in reality, they're just doing something that's great for the game. A lot of players wanted to see. Whether you agree or disagree with it, it's a very, very good business move on Epic Games. And Fortnite at this point in its lifetime has reached the Minecraft, Roblox, League of Legends level where it is never in a million years going to fall off. It is one of the greatest, if not the greatest game of all time, and it's here to stay permanently. It has solidified its name in the gaming world. Let's continue on over to Nana Cool 8, and I didn't even think about this, but this is huge potential. Peak Christmas this year. Now, 2019 Winterfest was my personal favorite, but a very, very close second was 2018 in Chapter 1 Season 7. Could you just imagine if Epic Games manages to capture that same Winterfest feeling, and down the road, 3 years down the road, or however many years it takes, 5 years to get through the chapters, assuming that we're going to cycle into more chapters, Chapter 3 Season 1, 2, oh my god. To bring back those vibes, we had a great Halloween. We had a great Halloween event, but if you replicate those feelings again, you bring back Chapter 1 as was, I would do anything to experience Chapter 1 Season 7. I'll be playing with my brother, and we are going to fly planes through people's builds, and the planes better be busted too. And just like the mechs, I want the Infinity Blade, I want balloons, I want everything as was. I would do anything to experience all of that again, okay? Surdy had this to say: "At least if Chapter 6 is crap, I can play this. Guaranteed W." That's exactly how I feel about it as well. Even if you don't like the new mechanics, and this also gives Epic Games an opportunity to have a little bit more fun with bringing things into the game. For example, they can bring things like Fortnite Wrecked, and maybe to not that extent, I personally like it, but you could tone something like that down a little bit, and you wouldn't have to just jump on it just to nerf it and please the player base. If people don't like it, they're going to go play their beloved Chapter 1. They might realize that they didn't like Chapter 1 as much as they say they do, but for those true Fortnite fans, for those people who aren't blinded by nostalgia, you can go sit back, you can play your Chapter 1, or maybe because Fortnite Chapter 6 is, in your opinion, not what you want to see or lackluster to you, then maybe it'll make the Chapter 1 experience even better. So, as that tweet said, guaranteed W. Let's continue on over to Tomo Aries. This is how I've always said they should do OG, having the seasons shuffle out every few weeks. Honestly though, I've always wanted it to be all previous chapters, so like 1 month it would be Chapter 1 Season 5, and then it would be Chapter 4 Season 2, just at total random. I'd love this too. I actually might like that better. I might like that better because a lot of players, and what was the complaint though? Assuming that they're going to roll through these, let's say that this is what happens. They go Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4. You guys always forget, and you viewer may not be forgetting specifically, but the vast majority of the Fortnite community forgets this a lot. Players were so frustrated towards the end of Chapter 1 and towards the end of Chapter 2 because the map got stale. They wanted to get off the map. They didn't like how the map was changing. Whatever it was, people were begging for a new map. Then Chapter 1 Season 2 came out and everybody was freaking out, but Chapter 3 made a really good map. So regardless, this is something that could actually fix that. I would think it's really cool, and this is something that we need to get a handle on too, is leaks. I think it'd be cool if nobody knew what chapter we were getting. Chapter 1 Season 1. Next we have Mega. Like, that would be amazing, playing with Attack on Titan, playing with the Force Mythics. Next we have maybe Chapter 1 Season 8 with the Volcano, the Ballers. Like, I think that would be the best way to do it personally. And to be honest with you, if you want to bring back Chapter 1, you could redo... No, you couldn't redo the storyline. That wouldn't work because then you'd have to change how the map went. No, I'm so for copy and paste, but this idea would kind of get ruined just a little bit because I know that the leaks will be the issue. We're going to have a leak where it's like, okay, so this is what's going to happen. We're going to have Chapter 1 Season 1, then Chapter 2 Season 5, then Chapter 3 Season 4, then Chapter 3 Season 3, then Chapter 4 Season 1, then Chapter 1 Season 5. It's just going to get all spoiled for us, and Epic Games needs to get a handle on this. They should have gotten a handle on this, because how cool would it have been, by the way, just chilling over at the Game Awards, everybody's watching, everybody's having a good time, and then all of a sudden they just drop this. I will still sit here and say that leaks are actively ruining the player experience for Fortnite because everything or nothing is a surprise anymore. That's why you loved Chapter 1 so much. It's a big part of why you loved both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 is because things were actually a surprise back then. And if they were to do this, if they were to bring back the old seasons and just go, hey, next up, Primal. Primal was a horrible example. I don't know why I just thought of that, but hey, next up, Invasion. And then everybody just gets hyped. I think that would be the best way to do it personally, but they would need to get a handle on the leaks. Let's continue on to Sir Raven. Watch people complain that they're playing on the season's map for a month with no changes. You know this is going to happen. You know this is going to happen. And if this happens and everybody has Reload to play with, every single metaverse mode, Festival, Lego, I said Reload I think, but Chapter 1 and Chapter 6, if somebody is still complaining about this and not having changes on Chapter 1, then these people should never be listened to for any opinion ever again because it's a them problem. It's a solo problem. They do not deserve to be heard, but those people are going to... it's going to happen. We know it's going to happen. And then we know how to distinguish those people because they shouldn't be listened to. Let's continue on. Jojo Josiah had this to say. Yo, am I insane for thinking this might kill the game? Like, all the hype Fortnite brings during new chapters and new seasons is going to be drowned out by OG. I could 100% be wrong, but I feel like this year, in a year, this could have crazy problems. I'm conflicted, though, because I want it. I understand how Jojo feels about this. The only thing that it absolutely will kill, like 100%, is going to be the launch of Chapter 6. Because who's going to pay attention to Chapter 6 when we have Chapter 1 back? What's going to help, though, is if we drop into Chapter 1 Season 1 and the season is as is instead of how it was in OG, that's probably going to be boring for the vast majority of the player base, how the map was, how the loot pool was, so people will be checking out Chapter 6. We'll have to see how that launches, but I do not think this will kill the game at all. The only way that it could even go towards killing the game, which I personally think is impossible, but you open those doors as soon as you start talking about Epic Games no longer focusing on BR, if they just give up on Chapter 6 and make this what they're going to do moving forward, then I would start to worry about the game actually dying. The only time you can actually talk about Fortnite dying is if they were to ever stop supporting Battle Royale. This would be one of those cases if they just worked on Chapter 1 and they didn't create anything new anymore. Then I'd be open to the game dying. That is the only case and scenario where it could actually die. Now, guys, we do have many more opinions to say. Now, guys, I just want to pause for 1 second. If you don't want to hear me yap, just skip like 30 seconds. As you guys know, I recently started a family, and I've been asking, because I am working so hard on YouTube to support everybody. If you do not have a code that you are using in the item shop, please consider using code Clen. I'm doing my very best to have my wife and kid live the best life that they could possibly live. And you guys using my code, I've seen a little bit of a boost, and it has been helping more so than you could ever know. I'm actually getting monthly payments from Epic Games. And don't get me wrong, like, I don't want you to get the wrong idea there. It's nothing crazy, but the little bit of a boost that I've been getting has been helping me so much in my life, and I am so appreciative for you guys. So if you are not using a supporter creator in the item shop, please consider using code Clen. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Let's continue on. There was a reply over to Jojo's initial tweet. I can always count on you to tweet some dumb crap like this, okay? Jojo had this to say in reply. Launching it at the same time as Chapter 6 is like objectively a bad business move, though. That makes no sense to me. Also, right after Remix, plus we have Reload, it's just on. Obviously, I'm excited, but I think something like this could mean a lot more than it may seem. I do agree to an extent. The problem is, like, it would be a great thing to just bring to the game if done properly. I do think, though, this could wait a couple months. Why not just experience Chapter 6? But then again, maybe Epic Games won't want to have the brand new chapter sucks, game's dead, what happened to Fortnite, and all of those videos going everywhere, the player base upset, right? If it was up to me, I would wait a little bit, maybe a couple months, maybe like after Epic Games' break when people are really starting to get frustrated because their fried dopamine receptors can't handle not experiencing something new in a game for a couple weeks, because I know that's coming too. The Winterfest break is coming. Epic Games is going to go on vacation for a couple weeks, and all of a sudden, the game's going to be dead, okay? Let's continue on to Lil Smurf. MFs will see this and say that Tim Sweeney ruined the game. You know they will too. And you know what else we're going to hear? Is there's the downfall of Fortnite was because of the metaverse, and they're going to act like this Chapter 1 experience that is being brought back is not part of the metaverse. Guys, Reload is part of the metaverse. Chapter 1 is going to be part of the metaverse. Everything that you see that's besides Battle Royale is technically part of the metaverse. Well, I mean, Battle Royale is part of the metaverse. Fortnite is the metaverse, and it's succeeding, and people only talk about the metaverse when it's something bad, okay? They're still going to say that Tim Sweeney ruined the game, and you know what else is going to happen? They're going to play Chapter 1 Season 1, Chapter 1 Season 2, assuming that it's still as was. The map's going to be bland. It's going to be boring. People are going to be walking around for long periods of time. The players are going to be better because that was something that people really missed, was players not being as good as they are. They're going to get absolutely dummied within the game. Those players that are returning be like, oh my god, this just isn't the same. This just isn't the same. You just leave it to Fortnite to ruin this. Leave it to Epic Games and Tim Sweeney. You know that's going to happen too. You're not going to have that same nostalgic feeling that you have. A lot of people, okay? A lot of people, especially returning, that are going to be garbage. I just already see it. I'm not saying it's going to be the majority of people, but we are going to hear about it, okay? Bader had this to say. And what will happen after the 10 months end? That's what I'm curious about. We touched on the multiple ideas that could possibly happen after that, but what I don't want to happen too is I don't want them to just do this as a one-time thing. I don't want to have this option, get players used to it, and then just be forced to play Chapter 7 after the 10 months end. If they're going to do this, dive into it. That's what I want to see from Epic Games personally. Let's continue on to Roman Rebel Fortnite. Comment Epic Games W. Chapter 2 would be cool to return again after 10 months, and I think it would stop the month-long of seasons if they bring back Chapters 3 and 4, but please, no Chapter 5. Now, I personally would really like to see, as we mentioned, every single chapter come back except Chapter 5. There's nothing that I want to re-experience in Chapter 5 besides maybe Wrecked. But even then, it would be the very beginning of Wrecked, and that would be cool for an LTM. Plus, we have an LTM coming out, apparently, that's something like Wrecked, because we're going to have those powers, but I'd be okay without Chapter 5. Cypher PK had this to say, Fortnite refusing to fall off needs to be studied in universities. Now, people talk about Fortnite not falling off. I'm not saying that Cypher PK was saying that Fortnite was falling off. I'm not saying he said that at all, but I still can't believe people are even talking about Fortnite falling off, or like Fortnite was close to falling off, but then they brought back OG. Somehow Epic Games manages to save their game. I don't understand how people legitimately believe that to be the case. Regardless, let's continue to what I actually had to say. I wanted to include my own tweet over here. If they redo Season X properly, this will be the greatest thing of all time. Video on this in now. I cannot wait out of everything to re-experience Season X. I am grabbing my Season X squad. Guys, I am not kidding you. When Season X was out, I played just about every single night. Every night. The same squad, dropping in all the rift zones, the chaotic mess that it was. Oh my god, I would do anything to re-experience that, man. Even if it's just for a month. I will be playing Fortnite so much. I need those rift zones. I need to experience one of the greatest seasons of all time. And go again, that in Chapter 2, Season 7, man, with all of the new mechanics in Fortnite, like the tactical sprint. And something I should have mentioned earlier is when I say copy and paste the seasons as was, I'm talking about loot pool, map, things like that. I'm not talking about like the running animations. I still want my tactical sprint. I still want the mantling. I still want zip lines for zero build. I don't know if that was made clear or if I had to make that clear, but I just wanted to make that clear. Let's continue on to tanks. It'll be cool for like the first 2 weeks, and then it's going to get boring. I think that they're going to for real milk OG dry, and it's going to lose all of its meaning. It was perfect when it came back for a month last year because it was a perfect time frame. Now that it's permanent, it just seems like I understand that, and that will happen for some players, but if these seasons keep coming back for a month, or you're going to play Chapter 1 Season 3 for just a month out of the year, I think it'll be okay. That in combination with people playing other games, people having Fortnite Reload, people having Chapter 6 to play, I think the player base is going to mix up what they play. I know I'll be doing that for sure. I just think with the way that they're doing it and the way that it seems to be coming to the game, I think that it'll be okay. Let's continue on to Tater. Overall, it'll be good for the longevity of the game. Don't like the current loot pool or map mechanics? Just play Chapter 1. However, it will kill the hype However, will it kill the hype that Chapter 1 OG gets? Probably. People want it so bad because it's gone, meaning there's a surge when it returns. It being permanent, I don't know. That's a very, very fair worry to have. Again, I do think that it's going to end up being okay. I think it's awesome that we're having another Battle Royale experience for the people who don't like the new additions of Chapter 6. I personally, throughout the entirety of Chapter 5, would have rather played on a Chapter 1 map instead of what I was playing on Chapter 5, and I'm somebody who loves modern Fortnite. I'm somebody who loves when this game changes. It just didn't hit for me. It just didn't hit. That's why I've been playing Reload for half a year. I've barely been playing Battle Royale. Let's continue on over to Tendo. I'm excited, but cautious. On one hand, this could give Epic a very wrong message of what we want, but what I'm hoping this means is that competitive players will have a more basic form of the game at any time. This could allow for us to get unique seasons like Wrecked. Okay. Depends on the season. If we're talking Chapter 1 Season 7, no. If we're talking Chapter 1 Season 8, no. Season 9, maybe. Chapter 1 Season X, no. Chapter 1 Season 5, no. You would have to stick with Seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Is that it? Maybe season 9? Maybe. So maybe it would be it would depend on what season we're playing at the time, whether or not competitive players could actually get into it. iTalk had this to say: I think we can all agree that Fortnite imposters should come back. Hashtag bring back imposters. Guys, why hasn't this been brought back? I still am so sad that it's not in the game. It's perfect for the metaverse. It's one of those game modes that could be permanent. I just miss it so much. It was something that was so well done. And now we actually have the IO. If you want to bring a little bit of lore into it, we'll have the Chapter 1 map there. We can dive under the island. I'm okay with this. I know that it came out in Chapter 2, but you could do the same thing in Chapter 1. You could absolutely do the same thing in Chapter 1. Guys, if you want to hear more about Fortnite imposters, I actually made a video talking about it on speculating why I think it left. If you guys want to check it out, just check out the video right here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care.